Hi, Warriors. Historic week. Speaking about weak, we have a weak dollar. We have a weak US dollar yen and weaker NASDAQ. Hi, AJ. How are you? Back at you. Same to you. Hi, Bran. James. Ingmar. Hi, Ryan. RC. Welcome to Face. First time I've seen your handle. Scott, how are you, buddy? And Mike, everyone doing okay? Okay. All right. Let's take a look at what's going on around here. So the euro actually gapped up today. And let me get Steve out of the way here. Okay. There you go. So Ryan, we left a little gap last night. Is this all a little bit of profit taking or the unwind of the Trump trade? Because polls shifted just a little bit, that Iowa poll.
Yeah.
That was it?
Yeah, you've got gaps everywhere today. You've got gaps in yields, gaps in dollar yen, gaps in, I think there's a gap in cable, but pretty much most pairs have got gaps today on the back of that.
Okay. So Dixie looks like it, if we could keep it under 103.80, we could, see some fib retracements of this. My vibe is if it continues like this into the election, I'm short. I'd look to cover short and reverse down here around, I don't know, this moving average 260 or so. That's the way I'm playing the election. I don't think I would chase dollar strength up here into the election, even if it's a Trump win. Okay, so, but I would use this break to get positioned on the long side of the dollar, the short side of euro. Maybe we get to 109.80. Maybe there's another, 100 pips in it here. Cable, interesting. Where cable held last week. I didn't notice it. I notice a lot of things on the weekend because during the week you're kind of in the heat of action. You know what I mean, Ryan? And then
Yeah.
then you go back and you look at things over the weekend, and so that's what cable. This is what cable held. So I'm thinking 31 in cable before it reverses. Even the Aussie getting a nice little pop today. Could be a lot left, maybe up to here, 7.5 or so. Yen, I think we have a breakdown. Okay, so we're not only under all the moving averages right here, and I know everything could turn on a dime, but I think that this trade is probably good until we have a more of a result, and I don't think we'll have a result Tuesday. So I think the yen could trade down to 48. So how are you playing this the day before, Ryan? Are you doing anything, taking positions? I mean, I don't really understand the rationale for. I could understand maybe holding positions and managing positions. I don't see the rationale for initiating positions.
No, it depends on what asset you look at. I'm only holding two positions at the moment: long gold and short Aussie Kiwi. The only assets pairs I'd look to trade into the election would be sort of non-associated ones, like euro sterling and things like that, because I think if you're taking a position in a dollar pair, for example, you're taking a punt really, and I don't do punting in trading.
It's
So yeah,
roulette.
it's on my hands. I've got my ideas for what happens after the election, but like you say, we may not know for 2 days, we may not know for 2 weeks, we may not know for 2 months who's won this thing. So until we actually know what's going on, it's going to be very hard to get a handle on things. So, but I've got ideas. You know, what happens if it's Trump? What happens if it's Harris? And which way to go from that? And I think that's probably the best homework traders can do right now. Prepare for when the result is known.
Was there anything out of the Middle East or that pumped oil up $2 today, 3%?
Not that I saw. No, nothing urgent. But we did have OPEC Plus saying they're delaying their output hike until January. So that keeps things a little tighter for a month longer. We'll see what happens in January. But no, I'm kicking myself a bit because I fancied buying this one on the lows last week, and I didn't hit the button. And here we are, $4 higher.
Yeah, down here on the gap when
Yeah.
yeah, those are always tough to buy, but you know, you buy for a gap fill. And I don't know, doesn't look bad right here. So I don't know what to do with it. I came within, I don't know, 20 points of getting stopped out in bonds Friday because I had my stop, like I'm trying to teach people, not under the low exactly at 90.68. All right, so I let it breathe, and the low was 90.68. So I guess even that stop would have worked. But yield's coming down pretty good, down, you know, it just makes up for that late surge. I don't know what this was later in the day. Must have been one of the news events, but you know, it's still diverged, and TLT still diverging. So we'll see. You know, right now it looks like, you know, weak dollar, lower yields, and higher metals. So I know Stel is here. We had a break, what, down to about 32 and a half. And I think that was something Steve Volge talked about last week, that would be a great buying opportunity at 2.5. Did you take it, Stel?
Hello, everybody.
Hello, buddy.
Hey, we had been discussing in the chat room and with K-Man as well. I was a little bit early. I got 33, and I know he got 32.50, I think, or some of that. So I was a bit early, but you know, it's I never claimed to catch tops and bottoms. But I'll tell you this though. This US election for me is the out of the last 4 or 5 that I've been, you know, really actively trading, 5 or 6 or how many ever it is. I think it's a lot clearer what I think it's going to happen if one wins or if the other will or if the other does. So I think Trump is going to be deflationary, and I know it's a controversial thing because people say, oh, his plans and his policies are
Yeah, stimulus, tax
yes,
cuts.
yes, but
But you're thinking tariffs.
Tariffs as well, but also obviously it depends if he does what he says he's going to do. But you have Elon Musk saying we're going to cut $2 trillion a year from government spending because he wants to do the Department of Government Efficiency. You heard that, right? Doge.
Yeah.
Anyway, so if Trump wins, which by the way, I think Harris is probably more likely to win, my humble opinion. I'm not on either side. I just say who I think is going to win. But if Trump wins and he does implement that, then that is deflationary. Any way you look at it, add in the tariffs. I think that markets are not going to like a Trump win, at least in the beginning. On the other hand, if Harris wins, well, nothing really changes from the current administration. So we have a bit more of what we've had for the past 4 years, which is risk on. I think the dollar loses ground and yields go lower. So for me, it's of course I could be wrong. I've been wrong many times in the
I
past.
mean, that's the way the market's trading right now.
Yes, and I tell you this also, if Trump wins, I'm cutting every single one of my position, all my silver longs, everything. Um, because as I said, I think we're going to get a nice little push lower in many markets.
Okay.
So
And that,
yeah,
yeah, S&Ps too, huh?
I think everything, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
It's a tough
So
one though, right? As many people say, you might call the result correctly, and the market might do exactly the opposite of what you think. So this is just my humble opinion, what I think is going to happen if one wins or if the other wins. But these markets are crazy, so anything can happen.
Yeah, and this is really the way the markets are trading, right? So we'd see a strong dollar and a deflationary run on a Trump victory. I actually I think that if the dollar pulls back and Kamala wins, I would buy that dollar weakness, okay? Because I think the markets are going to fulfill their destiny regardless. Okay, and I think that the Dixie has 109 in it after this pullback to 102. So I would use a Harris win as a reason to buy dollar weakness. That's my plan. Cover dollar shorts and get long the dollar. Euro maybe up around 109 and a half, 110 area. Cable 131. Aussie 67 and a half. So that's my election plan. What's yours, Blake? I know you wrote about it. Great blog by the team, by the way. I was showing it. You guys have to check it out before tomorrow so that you have some ideas from the team. Keep an open mind. It may point you in the right direction. Just like today is the right day to at least take a trial so you're in with the guys uh, during election eve and through the night. Blake already has a pillow on his desk, so he's going to be doing it. You'll have to wake him up maybe once or twice during, or his alarms will on the market. When his trades get hit, that'll wake him up.
You know, I'm bracing for it, and I actually wish I was in Europe for the election, because I think Europeans are going to have a little bit better. I mean, obviously the markets are going to be, moving back and forth, as the election night goes on. But we're really, I mean, I don't think we're going to have an idea who won the election for days. We should not forget the 2016 election was decided by, like, I forget what it was. It was like 70, 80,000 voters in the state of Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. And then the 2020 election was decided by 65,000 votes in Arizona, Georgia, Nebraska, and Wisconsin. And so there's, it's a really, really narrow margin for error. And so one of the things I think we need to be, paying attention to is how tight this race is. And that's what's freaked out a lot of people over the weekend. If you guys don't know, this is the ForexAnalytix chat room we were talking about. You can see the betting markets. They've come off quite aggressively over the weekend. That was what you saw in Trump coming ahead.
I don't think you're showing your charts, are you?
Can you see my screen? Can you guys see it?
I can see a screen with a chart of Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's my charts.
Yeah, you're not sharing,
You're sharing on one.
Blake.
It says I'm screen sharing. Let's see.
See, I had to download some new Zoom
Me too.
software.
So
maybe I have to stop sharing for you to take over.
But what's interesting, it says I am sharing. So let's why don't you?
I stopped sharing there.
It says I am screen sharing. Can you guys see?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
Now they're converging.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I had to download new software today. I think everybody did. So anyway, that's probably a Zoom issue. But this is the polling, or excuse me, the betting markets. You can see how they have aggressively shifted gears over the weekend. And the reason why that is, and this is conversations we're having in the ForexAnalytix chat room, just so you know, there's a poll here. This is the Iowa Des Moines, Iowa Register. It's been very accurate as far as polling goes. And this one's got the market a little freaked out. And that's the reason you're seeing this big move. Now, look, I'm not a when things are this close, I'm not a huge fan of unless it was like a big, national, we could see a national swing. This is a 55 or 5038 Nate Silver's, his site, and he's showing the national poll of about basically in line. I mean, within a margin of error, you're talking about an extremely tight race. So that I think is more representative of what we're seeing nationally, which again suggests that 2016, 2020, is a pretty good indication of what we're looking at. Is we're looking at a very tight race that could be won by just a handful of states that we might not know for like a week. And so, because of the shift in what the momentum we had for Trump, polls are tightening. We see Harris bouncing back, and so I think the market's just positioning itself accordingly. I do want to point out a couple of things, though. Technically, you see the dollar, and you see what's happening in the euro. The euro is making its way back to its 38% retracement. This is a level that we've been looking at, for the last couple of days. The reason why this is so important, in my opinion, is because if we stop here, like if we stop at a 38% retracement, that means that there is a good chance that we get an ABCD move, which equal leg move will take, the euro down to 104. And that's what I would target on a Trump victory. But I don't think I don't think that's a given at this point. And I think the market's coming to that realization that it might not actually be a given. And I'm not going to sit here and try to make a prediction. I'll say that I think that Trump is going to win, but that doesn't mean that I'm trading that way. And I've taken all my dollars off. I took them off on Friday when the euro was trading up at one post non-farm payroll. Dale was here. Ryan wasn't. Ryan was out of town. Stelius, I don't think you were here, and I don't think Steve was here, but Dale and I were here, and as I told everybody on live, that I took all my dollars off soon as the euro got near 109. Yeah. It's like 108.91. Obviously, we're a little higher right now, but I just don't want any dollar positions ahead of the election. I think that the euro is pretty much in a range that is from 110 to 107.50, and it's going to be very binary this week. A Trump win, the euro is on its way probably to 105, and then a Harris win, the euro is probably on its way to 112 to 115. I think that either way, we're going to know when we break out of this range, and we happen to be right in the middle of the range right now. And I think that that's probably where we're going to be going into tomorrow as, position squaring happens and people shore up their books. I do have some other real big trade ideas that I have that people in the ForexAnalytix community, and if you're on the morning edge with Steve and I, every day, I'll be on in about 45 minutes or about an hour from now. It's private for our community. Some of the bigger trades that I'm looking at, but the euro is what most people are going to trade. And I think it makes sense too, because there's a lot of liquidity here. That's going to be a big issue on election night. And the days following is going to be liquidity. And I will say that, the moment that a news outlet announces Trump or Harris victory, the gapping is going to be pretty wild. We'll probably see, 50, 80 pip, 100 pip gaps, and and if you're in a position, it's going to go right through your stop. So don't count on your stop getting you out where you want to get out. And if you're trying to get in, you might end up paying up or paying or getting, 20 to 50 pip worse prices than you think. So there's going to be a lot of liquidity issues. And so just be really cognizant of that. That's why I'm pretty adamant about not being in any dollar positions. Because if you are taking a dollar position ahead of the election, you are at this point, based on what we're seeing in national polls and knowing how tight it is, you are really just flipping a coin. And that's not what we do here in the markets. That's not how you make money. That's not how you have longevity trading the markets, is just flipping a coin and saying, well, you know, I think that Trump's going to win, or I think that Harris is going to win, and this is so I'm just going to buy dollars or sell dollars. You know, if you do that, you can, but I think you're taking on way more risk than you need to, and it's hard to be successful in the markets when you do things like that. So,
and even if you're right in your prediction, the outcome might not be what you expect, as Stel said.
yeah, and
that's why I said on Friday that, in my opinion, if you're a strong believer of one or the other candidate winning, in this case, it's a much better idea to straight ahead go to the betting markets and bet for your candidate.
Right. Yeah. Go put $1,000 on Trump or Harris, you know, in the betting markets, and you know, maybe you'll make a little bit of money, but not in the. That's not what we do in the currency market or in the markets, trading markets. You know, like I said, if you want longevity and you want to be around, you know, 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now trading the markets, you're not going to get by on doing stuff like that. So great suggestion, Steve. There's another thing that I think we should be talking about really quick. And then we should open up the floor here to some more conversations, is, you know, we have to talk about Congress, and we have to talk about, you know, what are the other risks, not just Congress, like having a red or a blue sweep, which blue sweep doesn't seem possible, but having a, you know, red sweep, but also about what if we have like a landslide victory? I mean, everybody thinks that the polls are so narrow that it's going to be like, hey, we're not going to know. How about if, you know, you see, you know, President Trump or, you know, Vice President Harris, you know, come out with a decisive win?
I don't think the latter is very likely, Blake.
Again,
Steve. And I'm not saying that as a function of my prediction of the result. I'm saying it as a function of the knowledge from the previous times that if the polls end up having missed the ball, most likely it's going to be in favor of Trump.
Yeah, the other thing is, you know, from all of these mail-in votes, and that's the one thing that we have to be thinking about as well. And guys, it's not, this is a very binary when you hear who won, and there's a victor, you know, announced on in the media, you are going to see a reaction, and it's going to be a big one. And it's important.
Well, he's going to declare victory before the votes are finished tomorrow.
Well, he can declare it all he wants, but again, it has to be from, you know, news sources, incredible news sources at that, and probably some of your mainstream.
He's already talking about it being rigged.
Of course he is, you know, and the Democrats will do the same thing too.
So it's after the election. It's after the election we have to worry about.
Yeah, but
after the vote.
Here's the other thing that I'm gonna highly recommend. You don't go to sleep on your positions. So what, like for me, I'm talking myself personally. Like I have a feeling this is, you know, fast forward till tomorrow night, Tuesday night, and the votes are being counted. I'll probably be in front of my computer the whole time, right up until the F.A.C.E show, this show on Wednesday morning. And I'll probably be sleeping at my desk an hour here, an hour there. I will not go to sleep with open positions, not with the dollar anyway, because, you know, I have a sneaky suspicion, you know, something could get announced, then it's going to be contested. Then, you know, another news agency might flip around and go the other way. So unless I'm watching my positions, I am not, and these are dollar positions wholeheartedly. I'm actually long some euro sterling. I was buying it, you know, late last week on that dip below 84 pence. So for those of you that don't know, I was buying this dip down here. So that I don't really care about so much. It's any dollar positions that I have on, you know. And by the way, if you don't know what positions I'm in and where and like other traders in the community, like I just took my Euro New Zealand off from Friday for 52 pips. There's my open positions right there. You can find that in the ForexAnalytix trades room. You can see when I took my euro dollar position off this morning for 40 pips. That is another position I bought on Friday and sold it this morning at about 3 o'clock in the morning. So you guys want to know, you know, what Ryan's doing, other traders in our community, it's all right here. So let's talk let's ask Ryan. Ryan, what are your thoughts about the election? I know you blogged, and thank you for putting forth the effort as the you know, and the ForexAnalytix team, putting forth the effort to writing your blog post about what your feelings are in the election. For those of you that haven't seen this, you can see entries from myself, Stelios, K-Man, even Nick from Trading Analytics, and Ryan, all put their thoughts here, so make sure you check it out. But Ryan, let's expand on that a little bit. What are your thoughts going into the next 24 hours?
Well, I pretty much echoed what you said earlier about, you know, if you're picking a side, you're gambling. Said as much on the Flow show and in the post there. Elections are very emotive things for you Yanks. That's easy to see from the outside looking in. And if there's one lesson I learned many years ago, is that you trade with your head, not with your heart. So don't let your politics overcome your trading head, because that's when you end up losing money. You know, and there's a lot of volatility on this, and there's an element of people who think, yeah, I don't want to miss a big move, I don't want to miss out on big profits, but you know, you've got an equal risk of big losses. So you've got to approach trading this with a bit more caution. You've got to be objective. As I say, particularly if you're in the US, you trade with your head above anything else. And you know, there's not a lot we can do about it now. You know, tomorrow's the day. Polls are what they are. The polls that were right, they'll get pumped in the press afterwards for being right, and the ones that were wrong will get forgotten about. And yeah, there's not a lot we can do now. We just have to sit and wait for the results and judge the hours after as they come. If we get a clear winner, like you say, that'll make it easy. Markets like certainty. So if it's a clear winner, a clear outcome in the houses, then the market will move, and then it should settle down fairly quickly, depending on who's won. But if it drags on, if we haven't got a winner, we got to wait days, then the market's just going to, you know, jump around and it'll just be a complete mess.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for your thoughts. 50 pence is coming your way. Appreciate it. Stelios, let's hear from you, buddy. What are your thoughts? I know we're 24 hours away from, you know, election day, or less than 24 hours away. So, you know, things can change, but what are your thoughts here?
Well, as I said before, I'm not adding any positions here. What I have is what I have. I know what I'm doing on a Trump win, which is closing everything, including my first core silver long from 2310. But if Harris wins, I'm definitely not closing everything. I will look at price action to decide if I'm going to be adding or if I just let things run. As I said before, I think we should see dollar weakness on a Harris win and dollar strength on a Trump win. But apart from that, I really do not want to do anything at the moment. I want to react to the reaction, like Dale said. The only thing I'm going to do is panic and sell everything if Trump wins. That's the thing I have decided already that I'm going to do. Even if I see the market kind of rallying after a potential Trump win, I'm going to take advantage, just get rid of everything and reassess.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Steve, what are your thoughts as we wrap up the F.A.C.E show today?
I have no real thoughts. I think it's a very tough situation. My assumption is still that Trump is going to win, and I think it's very likely he's going to win much easier than the polls predict. So that hasn't changed at all. Having to do with the reaction following that, I think it's also going to be a function of how clearly he wins, if there is going to be any doubting the election results and all these shenanigans. I think these things can play a big role as well in the post-election reaction. I think it's a period that people should de-risk and give it a little bit of time. My assumption about how things are going to be moving in the medium to long term haven't changed at all, but the short term choppiness and volatility might get quite extreme. So I think people should be very careful.
All right. Thank you for your thoughts. 50 oh shit. What's a 50 cents of euros? What's it called?
Nothing.
50 cent.
A gum, a bubble
All
gum.
right.
I don't know.
One gum, one stick of gum. All right.
Yeah,
fantastic.
something like that.
All right, Dale, I know you have your interview coming up, but I know you've been focusing a lot on the dollar yen here. Are you going to be running a dollar yen short through the election?
Yeah, I'm going to be booking half by tomorrow morning, and then put stops in at BE. So I'm managing it.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you guys on a this is a little freebie for you.
I think we're breaking down. We're back in that formation.
If Harris wins, if there's a Harris win, I'm shorting every yen pair that I can get my hands on. That's a little freebie for those of you that aren't even in the Forex Analytics community. So the dollar yen, I think, will trade, closer to 140, and you'll see every other yen pair probably down, no, I wouldn't say the equivalent, but I think it'll be, dollar yen will be trading somewhere down here, and that's going to drag every other yen pair down. So I'll focus less on the Aussie yen because I think China is not going to have it as hard on a Harris win as China would with a obviously tariff imposed Trump win, but I'll focus on like the euro yen and sterling yen and stuff like that. So
and
anyway,
dollar mex as well, Blake, right? Dollar mex, I think, with Trump being not good for the peso. If Harris wins, I think dollar mex is a really nice short as well.
Yeah.
Plus the carry, right?
Yeah, the problem that you have with the Mexican peso, and this is a point that I've been making with our community, and this is the thing, unless you're pre-positioned in it, liquidity is going to be so hard to trade the dollar mex.
True.
You either have to have it right ahead of the election, but if you're trading it, just be really careful, because if you've never traded the dollar Mexican peso before, this is not the time to start. It isn't. Don't start here. Start with something with a lot more liquidity. I trade the dollar mex quite extensively, pretty much, multiple times a week. You guys, obviously, in the Forex Analytics community, can see how active I trade the dollar mex. Unless you have some experience trading here, this is not where you want to be trading. But yes, I agree with you, Stelios. This would be a carry trade du jour. You buy the dollar mex because or buy Mexican pesos, because on a Harris win, we'll probably be trading somewhere back here before rallying again. We'll probably do something like this, whoop, whoop, but I believe I think you can buy a bounce. But anyway, Dale, I know you have an interview. I want to thank the Forex Analytics team. Remember, if you guys haven't read the Forex Analytics blog, please do so. And don't forget, we're going to be here tomorrow. We're going to be here the day after the election night, and the day after that, and the day after that. So catch us here on the F.A.C.E show, and don't forget to catch Ryan on the Flow show. Even though he doesn't have his Robin, to him being Batman, K-Man here for the next 2 weeks, because K-Man had some personal stuff he had to take care of back in Belgium. Ryan, keep him company and be on the Flow show, listening to what Ryan has to say. And Dale, I'm going to pass it over to you. Have a great interview.
Yeah, I'd like to say, Blake, that it's kind of a ill-conceived notion. Besides knee-jerk reactions to the election, the market actually did better under Biden than Trump, and the dollar does better under Democrats and Republicans. Just something to keep in mind, because most people would think it would be the opposite, but it's not. It's not longer term. But knee jerk, yeah, you'll get the knee jerks. But over time, those are facts. So, yeah, I have Andrew O'Connell with me today. And Andrew, it's great to have you here right before a historic day. And you're a professional trader. So tell me what you're doing in front of the election. I know you're in a few contests. Oh, you're in a contest. Can you get flat before the election, or what are you going to carry into it?
Yeah,
Welcome
what's going
back.
on, Dale? Yeah,
Hey,
thank you so much for having me on.
good to hear from you.
Yeah,
So
so
go ahead.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Into the election. Yeah, so I'm competing in the US Investing Championship in the Enhanced Growth Division. So right now I'm in first place in the contest, which is awesome. But
Wow,
really now just trying to finish.
congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so really just trying to finish out the contest strong into the election. I can go ahead and share my screen if you'd like.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, let me see. Yeah, right now I'm rocking the one monitor today, so just bear with me. Let's see. Okay, let me know if you can see my screen.
Got you.
Yeah, so my
Finviz.
approach. Yeah, so my approach heading into the election is really to actually be a little bit more aggressive than most other market participants are willing to be. So if we look, S&P 500 is trading down to that around that 50-day simple moving average.
Yeah.
I think as you guys were discussing, like knee-jerk reactions into an election, it's very, very normal that there's some jitters in the market and perhaps a sell-off. And the market had been running for 5 or 6 months straight into this election.
Right.
So I think there's a lot of people out there. As soon as the market goes down like 1 or 2%, then suddenly all the news narratives change, and oh my gosh, like the world is ending. Like this election may actually be it. And I think for the most part, most investors, they just fall for that trap every single time, even though when you look at the data, the seasonality, like let's take a look. It's from the research note I put out last night. One thing I track very closely is seasonality in the market. And so right here I have this
Most of the
seasonality.
best traders I interview follow seasonality. A guy named Don Dawson, who's on barchart.com.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I forgot who recommended him to me, but the guy who recommended him to me said I'm hoping Don leaves me his seasonal studies. So
Yeah, for
that's how
sure.
important they are. So what do we have in November here, buddy?
Yeah, so if we look, and I put black boxes around every election year. So what
Okay.
I found was this is going back to 1996. There's some studies that go back even further. But for this one, about 20, 25 years of data, somewhere around there. About 5 out of 7 of the past elections, the November was positive following the election. There were two negative negative periods. One was 2000 when we had the dot-com crash, and the other one was 2008 when we had the global financial crisis. But if you remove those two events, of course, that's kind of cherry picking, but we're not in a financial crisis right now. So my estimate is that most likely the VIX is pretty high heading into this event. Like if
Was
we look at,
2000 Al Gore Supreme Court
I'm not sure.
decision? Yeah, I'm thinking that may be a reason because we didn't know who the president was for a while because of hanging chads, and who knows what's going to be hanging. We hope it's not Mike Pence that they decide to go after Mike Pence again, but we'll see what happens here. Okay, so you think Vol is overpriced because of the election right here?
Yeah, so I think most likely, and I think it's good that you mentioned, things can go wrong in an election. There can be uncertainty. So like if things go off with this election and like, oh my gosh, it's the tightest race we've ever seen, and then like there's some sort of, contesting of the election or anything
Oh,
like that.
there will be.
Yeah, I
There,
mean,
I mean, that's a layup.
I'm of the view that that's not going to happen. I mean, of
Wow.
course it could happen, right? But I'm a trader and I have to put my bets actually on the table. So the way that I'm positioned is that that won't happen. And the reason why, so if we look at the
Then it
VIX,
must be a Trump win.
Exactly. So if we look at the VIX up at around 22, right?
Uh-huh.
And I've been monitoring, if we look here at these election odds, I know everyone's been talking about these election odds for the past couple months,
Yeah.
but as of right now, it's looking like, based off of the latest and greatest data that betting market participants know, it seems like Trump is going to win this election. So I think, there's always, hey, maybe Harris comes from behind, maybe it's closer, but given the data that we have in hand today, it looks like this is going to be a decisive Trump victory. If that changes, I'll have to change my mindset on that. I'm not like, glued to that, but I'm just trying to think about like what information do I have in hand today. So my approach in the market has been, hey, if I'm of this mindset that the election's going to come and go, Trump is going to win, the world is going to keep spinning. If I'm of that mindset, then I want to be pretty long equities here. So I am long equities. My biggest position into this event, I'm long Roblox. And
Wow.
Roblox had this big gap up right here.
Yeah.
And that is where I started building my position. So I added a position into this gap higher, and then I added more to that position the following session. Roblox, awesome company, blew out their numbers. And so my mindset is, hey, if I think the market's going to rally post-election, I need to pick some of these strong horses and just try to get on board them. So Roblox, by far my biggest position. And then if we take a look here, the MSOS Cannabis ETF, which
Oh,
we
you haven't
talked about a
given
few
up on
times.
those. Yeah. You
Yeah,
think we're
so
coming out of here again?
so the MSOS is my second biggest position right now heading into the election. And I think this one on that November 5th ballot, I believe it is Florida that's going to be
Yeah,
voting
that's a big
for.
deal. Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
they need 60% to ratify it,
Yep.
to legalize it. And the industry's poured a lot of money into it. Not just smoke, but a lot of
Mhm.
money into
Yeah.
that campaign.
Yeah. So this one, my mindset, my belief is that on November 5th, that is going to pass. I'm positioned accordingly. And again, like if it doesn't pass, then, I'm going to lose money on this trade. So like I always try to think about most likely scenario, get my positions on the books, and then that way it's not like I'm like, oh, maybe this, maybe that. I try to just be like, you know what, I'm positioned for this, and if it goes one way, I'm going to make money. If it goes the other way, I'm going to lose money.
Okay, how many trades do you think you've made during this competition, which began when, Andrew?
Yeah, it began Jan 1.
Okay. All right. So 11 months. You think you make about 2 or 3 trades a week?
Somewhere around there. Yeah, I would say I probably
Okay.
make, probably like 3 to 4 trades a week, somewhere around there.
It's been hard to, and what's the longest hold you've had in your in this account for the contest?
Yeah, longest hold I've had is Alibaba. And
Yeah.
Alibaba, I've been trading this stock all year, and somehow I've just been in tune with this stock, and I've been able to capture a lot of these runs in the stock, and then just get, get very lucky with dishing out the stock into the strength. And
Uh-huh.
so like I was able to get long Alibaba in this consolidation period right here. I got
Nice.
really heavy in the stock. And then we had the stimulus program that was announced, David
Right.
Tepper saying he's long everything.
Yeah.
And I actually sold my Alibaba. I wish I had sold at the peak, but it's not always like that for me. So I sold my Alibaba. If I zoom in, I sold into these two candles right here.
Yeah.
And now I'm actually looking at potentially adding Alibaba again. I have a starter position in Alibaba right now. But my mindset, I have a divergent view on this stock where I think, again, my view is that given the data that we have in hand today, Trump's going to win the election. If that happens, I know a lot of people think like, oh, Trump's so tough on China, like whatever.
Right. Right.
My view is if Trump wins, the odds of a Chinese invasion of Taiwan in the next 4 years decrease. And I actually looked at the numbers, and these Chinese equities actually perform very well under the Trump administration. So this is a starter position I have on, and I'm actually looking to potentially get bigger in Alibaba as we exit the selection sequence. If I start to see some more strength in this, then I'll probably bolster that position.
I think China's also worried about a Trump victory, not just for that reason and tariffs, but
Hmm.
that relationship with Russia would
Yeah.
change. And they're worried about Russia being drawn into the U.S. influence away from China, because Russia and China have been adversaries for decades and decades up until recently. So
Hmm.
that's something else G is worried about.
Yeah,
So
for
you're
sure.
betting on G. It's funny, we're having an election here, but one of your bets is on G that he'll, come through with something that we get another wave up in China.
Exactly. And what's kind of nuts is like, if you look at this chart, it's like, man, Chinese stocks, look how far down they are from that peak
Yeah,
at
that's
115.
yeah,
But for me, where I was positioning most heavily in this group
yeah,
was when Alibaba was in the 70s and 80s. So for me,
yeah,
like where it's trading now is still a smidge higher than where I actually sold
right,
most of my position a few weeks ago. So it's kind of crazy. One thing I try to do as well is like I'm a swing trader, and like I'm trying to win trading months and trading years, but like I try to at least zoom back out a little bit on the chart and just try to get like some context. Like this stock was, for most of the year trading in the 70s. So now it's at 98. Like this is still, even if say these stocks don't go up, they just kind of muddle around here. Like this has still been an awesome run in these
it
China
has.
names.
You brought up an important thing, and it's something that traders always notice. You're considering buying something that is higher than where you got out. And for
Mm,
some reason, traders have this idea, well, I have to get it cheaper than where I originally sold it.
mhm.
It doesn't matter.
Exactly. Yeah, I used to do that all the time where I would just kind of anchor on my prior decisions. And
Yeah,
yeah, it's really just like what's my next best decision I can make given this hand that I'm playing right now in the market.
right.
So
Okay.
yeah, the one thing that does kind of concern me a little bit is the bonds, just how poorly they've been trading. I'm not sure if you've been monitoring the bonds pretty closely, but this has just been like a horrendous move in TLT.
Yeah, I have.
Hmm.
So do you think there's a turn at hand? Not if
My
Trump wins.
my
I heard,
guess, yeah,
yeah, anyway, the Trump trade is higher yields.
yeah, yeah, and I think like when Stan Druckenmiller and Paul Tudor Jones came out saying that they were both short the long end of the curve,
Yeah,
I think those guys, like everyone in the investing world, just kind of sees them as like, oh, these guys are the best investors. They're super wealthy. So I think it's kind of like monkey see, monkey do. They hear those guys say it, and then everyone just goes, oh, shoot, I need to sell my long duration bonds. So we've had a pretty big downdraft here. And I actually think if the election goes off without a hitch, we could see a bounce in the treasuries. But with that said, like those guys are super smart. So I think like the longer term trend here for these bonds, I think that's in question. But I really just believe that if the election just goes smoothly, so it's like, all right, guys, Trump won the election, and then the world keeps spinning. I think a lot of these assets go higher. Same thing, like if Kamala Harris wins the election and like, oh, she just blew out Trump, no problem. Here we go. And we move on. I really just think there's going to be a lot of investors, like, for example, that, they're just selling off some of their stocks, trying to get a little bit more defensive. And with the market up so much this year, as soon as we get past this election, everyone's going to be thinking about Thanksgiving. Everyone's going to be thinking about holidays, Christmas. And that is when I notice when you're in a strong positive year in the market, once you get to the holiday season, I used to work on a fixed income trading desk. Everyone goes on vacation. and you're just left with like the stragglers on the trading desk, and like the year is kind of over at that point.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So there's an expression that the bears feast on Thanksgiving and the bulls on Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
So is it possible that we get a rally after the election on a Trump victory that puts in at least a short-term top for maybe a 10-20% correction? He did put in a bottom in 2016 when
Mm-hmm.
it was limit down. Maybe we'll be limit up on a landslide, and
Yeah,
that it put in some type of high. It would
I
be
think that's definitely possible.
full circle from the
Yeah, I
low.
think
Yeah. What
for
do you
those
think?
that are worried about the bear case, I think that's the more realistic scenario where, like you mentioned, like, okay, we get past the election, the event volatility comes out, people can take off those election hedges for doomsday they had on. The market has, let's say, like, a day or two or three rally. And then I think that's going to be the real test for the market with some of these other like dynamics. Like once this event vol comes off the books,
Yeah.
then the market, let's see if it can stand on its own 2 feet.
Okay. Well, as you can tell, everyone, Andrew's a trader, and you could tell he's overcome a lot of the psychological junk that we have in our heads about, oh, I can't buy something I got out of lower, or sell something I got out of higher. So, best way for people to follow, what you're doing in the contest, and uh, do you have a business model where you work with people? Andrew, you have a room or a letter? I'm surprised I don't know after talking to you all this time.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's right here. It's pristinecapital.substack.com. So I put out a piece of market research Sunday through Thursday. And this is always just all of the homework that I did to prepare for the session ahead. So I go through my
Right.
full research workflow. And then I also have a Discord server as well. So for anyone that decides to become a premium member here, we throw you in the Discord as well. And all the trades that I'm doing for the contest, I post in the Discord, and we got a nice group of traders there.
How many?
Now a lot more. Yeah. They're
Okay.
it
All
was always
right.
small, but yeah, there's a lot now. We got a couple hundred people there now.
All right. Well, congratulations. I hope it
Thank
keeps
you.
growing like a mushroom. Um, and Andrew, you've had a lot to overcome this year.
Mhm.
I'm really you're a strong spirit, and I'm proud to call you my trading warrior brother.
Thank you so much. Likewise, Dale.
Really. So good hunting. I'll talk to you in January, February, and maybe you could use your video next time and show us the crown that you
Uh,
won in the trading contest.
I would love that. Yeah, we'll see what
Huh?
happens. Thank you
You
so
know, when
much.
you when you get crowned as king of
I would
trading
love
in the
that.
U.S. Trading Championship. All right, buddy. So follow Andrew at on X at Pristine Capital and check out his writings. If he's winning the contest, and he is number one. Last time you were like 6, so weren't you? You're a little lower, so
Yeah.
he's made some gains. Follow the guy uh, for stock ideas. Okay, so appreciate you giving your time and sharing your methodology, buddy.
No problem, Dale. Take care. Thank you so much again.
All right, Andrew O'Connell, everybody, you could join the team in about 20 minutes on the Morning Edge. See everyone for Turnaround Tuesday, and talk about a Turnaround Tuesday. Wow, this Tuesday is going to have people turning around so many times. They're going to be so dizzy from turning around, they're going to need to sit down for a while. Anyway, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. See everyone tomorrow. And thanks. Hope we're helping you out here.